There is a conversation you have been avoiding. You may not know the words yet. You may not even know who it belongs to, but somewhere behind your sternum, folded tight like a letter you wrote and never sent, there is a truth that has been waiting for you to sit down and finally read it. This weekend, the sky is going to make sure you do. On March 8th at 8:39 in the morning, Eastern Time, Venus and Saturn will meet at 2 degrees of Aries. Two ancient forces standing face to face in the youngest fire of the zodiac. Venus, the keeper of everything you love, everything you desire, everything you have built your life around, calling beautiful. And Saturn, the oldest judge in the solar system, the one who does not care what you wish were true. He only cares about what is. This is not a casual alignment. Venus entered Aries barely 48 hours ago. Yesterday, she drifted through Neptune's mist, wrapped in longing and soft illusions. Today, the mist burns off. Saturn is waiting on the other side, and he is not interested in what you hoped your relationships looked like. He is interested in what they actually are. Now here is what makes this moment unlike anything you have felt in months. This conjunction is landing directly on the degree where Saturn and Neptune fused together on February 20th, the exact point where a 323-year cycle was reborn. Venus is the first personal planet to walk across that threshold. She is carrying your heart through a doorway that has not been opened since before your great-great-great-great-grandparents were alive. Before this video is over, you will understand two things. First, exactly what this cosmic collision is about to reveal in your closest relationships and why some of you have already been feeling it in your body for days. And second, an ancient ritual built for this precise window that will let you stand in this fire without being consumed by it. Let us begin. To understand what is about to happen this weekend, you need to understand who Venus and Saturn really are when they stand in the same room. Not the softened versions, the raw, ancient mythological truth of what these two forces do when they collide. The Greeks told a story that most people have forgotten. Kronos, the Titan we now call Saturn, committed an act of extraordinary violence against his own father. He severed him. And from that violence, from the blood and the foam and the churning of the sea, Aphrodite was born. Venus, the most beautiful thing in the universe, did not come from tenderness. She came from a wound. She rose from the exact place where structure destroyed what came before it. That is the relationship between these two planets. Saturn is not the enemy of love. Saturn is the painful origin of love. And every time they meet in the sky, that ancient contract resurfaces. Beauty must answer to the one who made her. Desire must stand before discipline. And what you call love must prove that it is not just a comfortable arrangement you have been afraid to question. This is why some of you have already started feeling this transit before it even perfects. If you have noticed a heaviness settling across your shoulders and along your jaw over the past few days, there is a reason. If a sentence you never said to someone, maybe months ago, maybe years ago, keeps circling back into your mind like a bird that cannot find a place to land, there is a reason. If you have felt the sudden urge to reach for someone, to call them, to send the message, and then something stops your hand midair, that is not hesitation. That is Saturn arriving early in your nervous system, asking you whether the words you're about to speak are true or just familiar. Aries is the sign of the self, the raw, unfiltered newborn self. When Venus meets Saturn here, the question is not whether your relationships will survive. The question is whether you will survive inside them as the person you actually are instead of the person you have been performing. And that word performing is not an accusation, it is a recognition. You have been weaving something for years. Every relationship you maintain is a fabric. Venus provides the color, the texture, the thread that makes it beautiful. But Saturn is the loom. He provides the tension without which no thread holds its shape. A thread with no tension is just a loose string on the floor. It cannot become anything. What Saturn is doing this weekend is testing the tension, pulling each thread to see which ones are anchored in truth and which ones have been hanging loose, giving the appearance of connection while carrying none of the weight. Some of those threads will hold. They will surprise you with their strength, and some will snap, not because Saturn is cruel, but because a thread that cannot bear honest weight was never truly woven into the fabric of your life. It was draped over it, decorative, temporary, and deep down, you knew. Let me show you the cosmic architecture behind this moment, because the precision is staggering. Venus entered Aries on March 6th. Within hours, she walked straight into Neptune, the planet of dreams, illusions, and beautiful fog. That was yesterday. On March 7th, your longings felt enormous. Your fantasies about love felt vivid and real. Some of you reconnected with an old flame in your mind. Some of you looked at your partner and saw only the version you wish existed. Neptune does that. He wraps everything in silk and candlelight so you cannot see the cracks in the wall. Now, less than 24 hours later, Venus crosses from Neptune's embrace directly into Saturn's grip. The silk is gone, the candlelight is out, and the cracks are the only thing you can see. This sequence, Neptune to Saturn within a single day, is rare. It is happening because both planets occupy the earliest degrees of Aries, still standing shoulder to shoulder after their historic conjunction on February 20th. Venus is threading through the eye of a needle that has not existed in 3 centuries. Venus is the first personal planet to cross that newly opened ground carrying something intimate. Not ideology, not collective shifts, not generational themes. She is carrying your relationships, your values, your sense of what is worth loving. And Saturn is standing at that gate saying, "Show me what you have brought. Show me if it is real." The ancient Romans told another story that mirrors this moment with eerie precision. Venus was married to Vulcan, the lame god who shaped metal alone in the dark. She did not love him. She loved Mars, the god of war, passion, heat. And for a long time she kept that truth hidden. But Vulcan was patient. One night he wore a net so fine it was invisible and draped it over the bed where Venus and Mars lay together. When morning came, the net fell. The hidden truth was exposed for every god on Olympus to witness. There was no denial, no escape, only what was real displayed for all to see. That is what Saturn does when he meets Venus. He weaves the net. He pulls back the curtain you hung over the parts of your relationship you did not want to examine. And what is revealed is not always ugly. Sometimes what falls into the light is more honest and more beautiful than the illusion it replaces. But you have to be willing to look. Here is where the astronomy deepens this even further. Mercury is still retrograde in Pisces as this conjunction perfects. The planet of communication is moving backward through the sign of the unconscious. Old conversations are resurfacing. Words you swallowed months or years ago are dissolving the walls you built around them. Mercury retrograde in Pisces does not bring new information. It brings old truths back to the surface, waterlogged and heavy, demanding to be acknowledged. And at the same time, the moon on March 8th is in Scorpio, the sign that refuses to live on the surface, the sign that would rather burn a relationship to the ground than allow it to continue on a lie. With the moon here, your emotional body is not interested in politeness this weekend. It is interested in depth. It wants to go underneath the agreements you made to keep the peace, underneath the roles you play so no one gets uncomfortable, underneath the story you have been telling yourself about why things are fine when your chest tightens every time you say it. Venus conjuncts Saturn in Aries with Mercury retrograde in Pisces and the moon in Scorpio. This is not one transit. This is a tribunal, and you are both the witness and the one on trial. If you have looked in the mirror this week and felt something strange, a flicker of unfamiliarity behind your own eyes, as though the face staring back is someone you agreed to be rather than someone you chose to be, that is this energy already at work. If you have been lying awake in the minutes before sleep and in that silence everything suddenly becomes sharper than it was all day, that too belongs to this window. Your body has been preparing for this conjunction, the way the earth shifts before a tremor reaches the surface. But here is what shifts the entire weight of this moment and why I need you to hear what comes next. This conjunction is not asking you to destroy what you have built. It is asking you to discover what part of it was built on actual ground and what part was built on a story you told yourself because the truth felt like too much to carry. Saturn is not here to tear the fabric apart. He is here to show you where the weave is thin, where it has been thin for a long time, and where your hands already know it needs mending, even if your mind has refused to admit it. What Saturn takes from you this weekend was never yours to keep, and what remains after he is finished, that is the thread strong enough to weave the rest of your life around. The question is not whether truth is coming, it is already here. The question is what you will do when you see it clearly for the first time. Now let me bring this down from the sky and into the rooms where you actually live, because cosmic events mean nothing if they stay abstract. This transit is not happening to the zodiac, it is happening to you. to your kitchen table conversations, to the silence that stretches between you and someone you love when the lights go out, to the version of yourself you show the world and the version that sits alone when the house is quiet, knowing the two do not match. Venus conjunct Saturn in Aries will move through your life in layers. The first layer is the one you share with other people, your marriage, your partnership, the relationship you have been building, or the one you have been quietly dismantling brick by brick while pretending the house still stands. Saturn does not ask whether you love someone. He asks whether the way you love them is honest. There is a difference. You can love a person deeply and still be lying to them every single day, not with your words, but with your silence, with the things you decided long ago were not worth bringing up, because bringing them up would mean admitting that something fundamental has shifted and you are not sure you want to face what comes after that admission. This weekend, the silence becomes louder than anything you could say. Saturn in Aries does not wait for you to be ready. He is the first sign of the zodiac, and he moves like it. If there is a conversation that has been frozen beneath the surface of your relationship, think of it as a river running under ice. The water has always been moving. You have always known it was there. You could feel the faint vibration under your feet even when the surface looked solid and still. What Saturn does on March 8th is crack the ice, not to drown you, to show you what has been flowing underneath all along. The second layer is the one you carry alone, your relationship with yourself. And this is where Venus conjunct Saturn in Aries cuts the deepest, because Aries is your first breath. It is the sign of I am. When Saturn meets Venus here, he is not just auditing your partnerships. He is auditing the agreements you made with yourself, the promises you broke so quietly that no one noticed, not even you, the boundaries you said you would hold and then folded the moment someone looked at you with disappointment. The self you said you would become 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and the distance between that vision and where you stand right now. That distance is not failure. Listen to me carefully. That distance is information. It is Saturn holding up a measuring line and asking you to look at it without flinching. Not to punish you for falling short, but to show you exactly where the thread needs to be pulled tighter, where the weave needs repair, where your own hands need to do the mending that no one else can do for you. Some of you have been so busy tending the fabric of other people's lives that you forgot your own loom has been sitting still, dust on the frame, threads hanging slack. This transit will remind you that the most important weave in your life is the one that holds you together when no one else is in the room. There is a principle in the way bone heals that belongs in this conversation. When a bone fractures and knits itself back together, the place where it broke becomes denser than the surrounding tissue. The fracture point becomes the strongest part of the entire structure, not despite the break, because of it. The body sends everything it has to the site of the wound, floods the area with minerals and new growth, and rebuilds something harder than what was there before. That is what Saturn is offering your relationships this weekend. Not the avoidance of pain, but the transformation of pain into something you can stand on for decades. The relationships that survive this transit will not survive because they were never tested. They will survive because they broke in the right places and chose to heal with the bone set straight this time. Now, I promised you something practical, and Saturn respects nothing more than a promise kept. Here is a ritual designed for this exact window. Not a general spiritual exercise, a specific protocol built to align your body and your intention with what Venus and Saturn are doing in the sky between now and Monday morning. Tonight, Saturday night, before you go to sleep, take a piece of paper, not your phone paper, something you can hold, something with weight. At the top, write one sentence that completes this phrase. The truth I have been carrying but have not spoken is. Do not overthink it. The first thing that rises is the right thing. It has been waiting. Fold the paper once and place it under something heavy on your nightstand, a book, a stone, anything that presses down. Let it sit overnight. Let Saturn hold it while you sleep. Tomorrow morning, Sunday, March 8th, the day the conjunction is exact, take that paper outside. You do not need a garden or a forest. A doorstep is enough. Open it and read what you wrote. Read it aloud if you are alone. Read it silently if you are not. Then tear the paper slowly, deliberately into small pieces, not in anger, in release. As you tear it, understand that you are not destroying the truth. You are freeing it from the container that kept it trapped. Let the pieces go into the wind, or into the earth, or into moving water if you have it nearby. Then sit in stillness for 7 minutes. Set a timer if you need to. In those 7 minutes, do not try to meditate. Do not try to clear your mind. Simply ask yourself one question and wait. The question is this: what am I ready to build now that I have stopped pretending? Whatever comes, a word, an image, a name, a feeling, write it down on a fresh piece of paper. This one you keep, fold it, and carry it with you through the rest of the week. That is your cornerstone. That is the first thread of whatever you weave next. The third step belongs to Monday, March 9th. Jupiter stations direct in Cancer on March 10th, and the energy of expansion begins to stir 24 hours early. On Monday evening, take the paper you have been carrying and place it somewhere you will see it every morning. A mirror, a window, a wall beside your bed. Read it once and make a single commitment. Not a grand overhaul of your life, one honest step, one conversation, one boundary, one act of courage so small that no one else might even notice it. But you will know, and Saturn will know. This 3-day sequence matters because it mirrors the cosmic sequence exactly. Saturday is Neptune's echo, the last breath of the dream. Sunday is Saturn's weight, the moment of reckoning. Monday is Jupiter's first exhale forward, the beginning of building something true, and that building is not something you have to do alone. 2 days after this conjunction perfects, Jupiter turns direct in Cancer for the first time since November. The planet of growth, of abundance, of faith wakes up in the sign of home, of family, of emotional roots. Everything that Venus and Saturn clarify this weekend, Jupiter is preparing to expand. The honest thread you identify now becomes the foundation that Jupiter will nourish for months. But Jupiter cannot expand what is not real. He can only grow what has been tested and proven true. That is why this weekend comes first. Saturn clears the ground, Jupiter plants the seed. What you are standing in right now is not a punishment. It is a doorway shaped exactly like the truth you have been afraid to walk through. And on the other side of it, something is waiting that your current illusions could never have given you. Something that does not need to be protected from honesty because it was born from it. You came into this video carrying something. You may not have had a name for it when you pressed play, but you feel it now. That weight in your chest has a shape. That silence in your closest relationship has a voice. And the person looking back at you in the mirror is closer to the real one than they were 30 minutes ago. Here is what I want you to carry out of this moment. Love that needs to be hidden from the truth was never love. It was an arrangement, a pattern you inherited, a role you auditioned for so long ago you forgot it was a performance. But love that can stand in front of Saturn and say, "Here I am, look at all of it, the frayed edges, the thin places, the knots I tied in the dark." That love is not just strong, it is sacred. You are not too late to build it. You are exactly on time. The loom is yours. The thread is in your hands. What you weave from this weekend forward will carry a tensile strength that nothing woven from illusion ever could. If there is a thread that came loose inside you while you listened, write it in the comments. Not for me. For the one who is sitting where you were sitting 30 minutes ago, not yet sure that what they feel is real. Your honesty becomes their mirror. If someone you love is standing at this same reckoning and does not yet know the sky is speaking directly to them, send this their way. One thread offered honestly can change the entire pattern of another person's life. Every piece of this work is woven through long nights of careful attention, and your support keeps this loom standing. A single tap on the like button tells the sky this message found someone ready to receive it. Subscribe and turn on notifications because the weave does not end here. The threads the cosmos is laying down in March have only just begun, and what comes next will build on everything you felt today. The universe has spoken. What comes next is in your hands.